Happy Monday and welcome, Judy.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here, Tiffanie.
Yeah. So I'm here today joined by Judy Young. We're super excited to be talking a little bit about BNI. And Judy's been doing something really cool. And I'm not sure if it's new or it's a recent focus. Will you tell us what the cool thing is, the GCP that you were telling me about just a little bit ago?
Absolutely. So I am part of a cohort called the Growth Champions Program. And what we're doing is we take a group of, it's a couple people from each state. Sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's more. And we are focused on growing one chapter each. So the whole focus of the program is to grow small chapters and figure out what does that take? Because the goal would be get small chapters to be 30 members or more, with the thought being then you have a little leeway for them to fall a little bit, because the magic number tends to be around 20, right? So you don't want them to get that low. There's normal attrition happening. So you're trying to get them to be 30, one, to feel the energy in the room and to get the benefits of BNI. So that's been a really exciting process. We are being trained and mentored by the best and the brightest in BNI. So it's been a fantastic opportunity, and it's about to come to a close, but it's very
So how has been the chapter? Which chapter? Let's give a shout out to the chapter that you're working with.
Absolutely. So I actually ended up working with one of my own chapters, which is Sugarland Business Builders. Yay, fantastic group of people. Many people stepped away from their chapter and they were working with another chapter that was not their own. So in that process, what we've all done is we're focused solely on this chapter, right? So the other chapter that I was supporting, I'm not supporting during that time period. So that means I can go every week to this chapter. And this is my sole focus, is to grow them, to get them to the next level. So it's been very exciting for sure.
Well, I definitely want to ask what have been some of the lessons learned, good and bad, all of that. But before I do that, I want to introduce y'all to Judy Young. She is a college and MBA admissions coach and an Ivy League graduate herself. She's the CEO of College Excellence and holds a BSc in economics from the University of Pennsylvania and an MBA in marketing and finance from the Wharton School. She also has college admissions certification from UC Irvine and Rice University. She has helped students successfully gain admission and full ride scholarships to top schools in the U.S. and internationally, including Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford, MIT, and Cambridge. Now, she's been in BNI for 4 years and held multiple positions in her chapter, as well as currently serving as the chapter success coach and that growth coach that she's been talking to us about. So, Judy, so glad to have you join to share some of your lessons learned. And as you're watching this today, y'all, if you're like, I'm not in a small chapter, that's totally okay. Everything that we're going to talk about can certainly be applied to a small chapter, to a large chapter, to an in-between chapter. And depending on your region, that's probably different numbers. Though I do say this, as always, anytime we're talking about BNI is a system that 100% can apply straight to your business as well. So BNI is a system that can apply to your business. So even if it doesn't really work for you in your chapter, always be thinking about, okay, how can I apply this for my business? All right, Judy, you want to tell us some of the things that you've got going on? How do we maximize our BNI membership?
Yeah, so, some of it is the basics that you would think about, right? So all the things in Power of One are now on steroids for me, right? So that is the point. But having said that, it's not just, hey guys, here's what you need to do. The question is, I started with a group of 12. So how do you take 12 disciples and get them all on board? So
I think somebody's done that 12 disciple thing before and got it to work, haven't they?
Look, I'm not going to put myself in that category, but that's what popped into my mind. I was like, oh, wow, is this a message or what? But in any event, the point is it could be a culture shift. So I think, yes, how do you get your chapter to grow? The things you need to do. Is kind of like if you have a kid and you're like, I know what you need to do to get your grades, right? But how do I get you in that mindset so you are ready to do that, right? And that's where it can be tricky, and that's going to differ by chapter, and that's probably what makes it exciting. And these are lessons in my mind, not just for a small chapter, but it can be even more true for a big chapter where you have a lot of personal dynamics going on. So I think you're laughing because I'm sure you've seen all this. So, and there's not a magic answer. It's just how do you get everyone rowing in the same direction? I think that's the first issue. So if you can get everyone on board, and this could vary, right? Sometimes that means, okay, I've got to take the new people and keep their excitement going. And you're nodding because you know this is what's true.
Because some of those old people are veteran or seasoned members.
Yes, yes,
You can
right.
go through a slump.
Correct. I was like, been there, done that, not doing it again. So that is the trick, is how do we get everybody rowing in the same direction? So having said that, it really is the power of one. I mean, the things that we talk about, right? Because of course it means, why do you do one-to-ones? Well, you got to do them to get to know people, so you know how you can help them, how you can help each other. But I do think the crux of it really is understanding the chapter, understanding the culture. How do you get that together so that people will be moving in the same direction? And that could take time, for sure. And that could take just getting to know each of your members, to know where are they. And you can tell immediately when you talk to them who's on board, who's like, okay, absolutely not, I've done this before, all right, keep talking, but I'm not listening. So it really varies. I'm not sure if that answered your question, but I think that is the main thing. And you're
I
smart.
love it. And there's 2 BNI Business Builder courses that I think are really good for this conversation. So I'm going to go try and find them really quick and share those in the captions. But in the meantime, so Judy, I had somebody the other day ask me this question. Their chapter is a little lackluster.
No.
Yeah. And what can we do to kind of get everybody more engaged? And like, this is the time of the year with the new leadership. Hopefully it's happening. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So what advice would you give to somebody that they are watching this, they're excited, but maybe the rest of the chapter isn't? How can we help bring them on board?
So define that a little better for me. What does lackluster mean? Who would they potentially be? Someone on the executive leadership team or just a member?
So this person is a member.
Okay.
They're not the top 3. I'm not sure if they're on leadership or not.
Okay.
And it's an established chapter. It's been around for a while. They're in the low 20s.
Okay. So when you say lackluster, it just means no one's excited about doing what they have to do, or their numbers.
Yeah. She's like, we're here and we're showing up for the meeting, but the referrals aren't really flowing. There's not a lot of energy happening.
So I think again, full disclosure, I am not coming here as, the expert. I have all the answers. I may have been assigned some disciples, but that's as far as the analogy goes. So, having said that, what I've found is that you need to find a couple of cheerleaders, for lack of a better word. And those could be anywhere. They could be other members. They could be somebody on a leadership team. Because you got to get somebody who believes, who sees the vision. That's really what it comes down to, right? And even if you have 2 or 3 people, those people can energize the chapter and say, hey, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? When people see it starting to work, a simple example is, if they haven't had visitors in a long time and you suddenly have 5 or 6 visitors showing up a week, it may take a few weeks, but suddenly people may go, oh, this feels different. I like it. And then you go, you do like it. Why don't you try a little more? Again, this is a lot like having kids, I think. So, I think you just have to find the people who will work with you and try to get them sparked. And those could be new people who aren't completely new to BNI potentially, right? So baby steps is what it is, and probably getting some energy. Because I could say run some sort of a contest, but again, if people aren't fired up anyway, that's not going to work, in my opinion. Tell me what you think, Tiffanie. You've seen a lot of this too. So
no, I love the ideals, and I don't think there's always it has to be this or it has to be that. I think there's lots of opportunity. I love the idea of getting that cheerleader that is ready to go to help you out. I think if you're one person trying to do it, it's a lot of work. If you're the second person, the third person, there's some momentum that gets going. And what I find is when you have that culture shift, then the people that liked it before but don't like it now will usually select themselves out. They may grumble a little bit, but sometimes you either have to heat up or get out of the kitchen. And it's not good or bad. It's just, to me, if I'm going to spend the time,
yes,
which is a way bigger investment in my mind than the money. But if I'm going to spend the time and money to be a part, I would much rather get really great results than mediocre results.
I agree. And that's part of what you tried to do, is you tried to show people what's possible, like, look, here's a chapter your size who's doing X. Here's how we get there. But that can take longer than I would have anticipated it would. But that is probably one of the lessons, right? People
Yeah.
have to kind of see it, kind of go with it, and training wheels, I call it, right?
And the two videos that I wanted to, these are actually audios. These are recorded from BNI conferences. I think these are really great if you're looking to help create that culture shift in your chapter. I think these two are really good to start with you. Then pick out your 3 or 4 cheerleaders, ask them to listen to it. And then if none of you are on the executive leadership or the president, the vice president, secretary, treasurer, go to them and say, hey, we just listened to this. Can you listen to this? How do we bring this? And they're both kind of goal-oriented, vision-focused. So there's Clarify Your Vision, Transform Your Year by Lois Weinblatt, who is a vision coach. That's like what she works on. It's all about the vision. And then Lyons, who, if you're familiar with Roomful of Referrals, she's the co-author with Dr. Ivan Meisner and Dr. Tony Alessandra of the Roomful of Referrals book. We talk about it. There's been a few BNI podcasts about it. She has become a visionary leader in BNI. And so to me, these two are really amazing things for us to listen to share with the team.
And I do have to give a shout out to the Growth Champions program. I mean, of course, like any program, it's challenging, but I've learned more than I could ever hope to in 3 months. And as I said, we are being mentored by the best and the brightest, right? And we did hear a talk by Lyons, and she is absolutely amazing. So we did have that benefit. So anybody who has the opportunity, I would absolutely tell you to be part of this, because we did have all that input and pre-reading and things to just get us motivated, because somebody's got to be on fire, right, to get everybody else going.
Yeah, we got to be contagious.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah. So do me a favor, share some of your to-dos and not to-dos that you've learned with your position and getting this chapter motivated from 12. Where's the chapter at now?
So let me not answer that question, only because we are up 6 and looking to see how many will fall off, and another 3 potentially coming on board. So let's see. But we are in at the moment.
But before you share those answers, really quick, we do have coming from Facebook. I apologize. I'm not 100% sure who this is, because if you haven't paired your restream with Facebook, it just gives us visitors equals energy. So put your name in your comments if you haven't paired. But thank you so much. I love that. Oh, this is an interesting one. Judy shares, lackluster is how I define our chapter as well. I'm the president this year and hope to inject a little more energy and enthusiasm. Yeah, we can definitely help with some ideas on that. Yeah, sometimes we just need a little bit of oomph, and getting some other people to help are huge.
Yeah, and it could be, I mean, as you were talking, I thought about just using the education moment, because that's one of the things we have done is we are sheep, right? We are fed these great education moments, but you can use that as an opportunity to get the group involved and excited. Because one of the things I've seen is, as I said, it could be a slow uphill. People may not catch on immediately. It's not like, wow, that was great, we're out, we're on it. But you do see after a few weeks, oh, that was good. So I would definitely encourage you to you be patient, first of all, but use those education moments as those cheerleading opportunities, and show them what's working. Give them examples of, this is how this can work for you. This is how you can build your power team, not just we want to build a chapter. This is how you can make more money, more time, more money, more fun. Tiffanie Kellog, you run through my brain.
Yeah.
Tiffanie, so yes.
Awesome. Question from Corolla. Are these podcasts? No, Corolla, these are not podcasts. They are in the BNI Business Builders. I think they're 45 to an hour long, 45 minutes to an hour long. So they're more in depth than the podcast, but they are audios that you can listen to. And our Facebook user was Matt. So yes, Matt, visitors equal energy. I need to talk to you, Matt, soon about a room full of referrals in the villages. But I digress. Ha ha ha. We did have Corolla says she likes that we've got to be contagious in that good way. So give us a little bit about your wins and loses. This will kind of be our last little segment. Then we'll see if there's any other comments, and then we'll pop off. But tell us tips.
Sure. So as I said, really, I mean, my big takeaway when I step back is you've got to get the chapter pulling along with you. And you have to figure out you know, in the nicest way you can, who's just not going along for the ride. Some people don't want to get bigger. They're all, there can be all sorts of reasons that chapters are small. Not everyone wants to grow. But having said that, you have to set the vision of this is what, as a chapter, you can get to. And this is what it'll take, right? Again, I use the kids analogy, like this is what it'll take. If you want to get, you can, whether you have kids or not, you can get that. So yeah, you want to be over here, you want to be a football star, that's great, but this is how much time and effort and energy on your part it's going to take. It's not his job or her job, it's actually all of our job. So I think that's the first thing is, I don't want to say getting the right people in the room, but getting that culture shift where everyone's rowing in the same direction. That's absolutely huge. And I think my second takeaway is, as I said, you have to be contagious yourself. I see that not just with myself, but it's been a great opportunity to meet these other superstars in BNI, to see what they're doing. How are they making their chapters bigger and better, and having that contagious energy, and being patient, right? Because everyone's going at a different pace. So, you're kind of moving everyone along, but what you can't do is go in and say, hey, next week we're going to have 5 people join. I mean, they'll look at you like, glazed over eyes, like, no. So, it's really going with the flow of the room and pulling people along at a speed that they can reasonably function at. That's just the reality, right? You could say anything you want to say, but you can't do it by yourself. This is definitely a team sport. That's what I'll say. And it has to continue when you leave. That's the big issue, right? So they have to have some buy-in. So those would be my big takeaways. I mean, the obvious, yes, power of one, but again, to get to the power of one, you have to get everybody rowing in the same direction.
Yeah. And I know some people are like, the power of one is just a score, but we're measuring the activities that are being done. And the goal of being in the green is you're hitting on all the activities that help you generate the revenue that you're looking for. And so it just helps give focus.
It does. And it's not, if you just do it to check the box, it's not going to work, right? Because I could say one-on-one, oh, all right, I talked to him for 5 minutes on my way to wherever. But if I didn't come out going, oh, you know what, I do have somebody I could introduce you to, I do understand better what you do, then it didn't have the desired effect. So it's not really the power of one. It's, are you doing the things that will make you money? I mean, that's your business too, right? I mean, I could wake up every day and go, hey, I just spent an hour making phone calls. But if I called the wrong people, I would be better off calling one person and having an, I mean, my magic word, even for what I do with college admissions, is impact. What impact did that have? If it didn't have impact, it was worthless.
So, speaking of what you do with college admission, tell us who's an amazing client for you, as well as what are a couple professions that are really easy to pass you referrals. We want to know a little bit about your business here.
So, yes, something I know, understand, and can somewhat control. So, yeah, so I do college and MBA admissions. I am typically helping students who are going to top colleges, although I do work with a range of students. And your other questions were?
The referral sources?
Yes. So referral sources, the easiest ones are for people going to college. So that means if you know a tutor, a test prep person, anyone who works with high school students, basically, is who I would be looking for. And I do free consultations for sure.
And you not only work with people in the US, right? Because I remember last year, maybe all of a sudden there was this massive influx of people from India hiring you to help.
Correct. So I work with people here in the US, but also people across the world. And I also help students who are trying to go to school in the US or in the UK. And particularly for the MBA, I'm typically working with people looking for top MBA programs, Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, etc. So yes, I work with people from around the world as well.
Awesome.
And virtually, of course. So
well, we have a wonderful and thank you from Corolla. Really great, really great. And Anne-Marie, so I saw your question, and what we're going to do, I think this is a great question, but we're kind of coming up to our time frame. I am going to put this on the agenda. I'm going to find an amazing person to come interview. And Anne-Marie, this will be an upcoming BNI Live. So we're going to take a whole time to answer this question of what if it seems people are giving leads but not true referrals. So we'll be excited to come back and talk about that. Before we pop off, any last you want to share, Judy? I'll let you think about that for just a second. Well, I let y'all know, do know, as of always, we do have our More Abundant Entrepreneurs show. It is the third Tuesday of every month. That happens to be next week. You can just go to bit.ly/MAE show. We'll put the details in the show notes, or it's just the moreabundantentrepreneurs.com/show. And that will give you the details. Next week, we're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about one-time saving tip that will just floor you. And we're going to talk about what to do with boring Zoom events. Ha. All right. So, Judy, back to you to begin to wrap us up.
Yeah. So first of all, Tiffanie, this has been a blast. So thank you for having me here. This has been wonderful. Again, as I said, I don't come to this as, the expert necessarily, but just somebody who's learned a lot of lessons being part of this fantastic program, which, as I said, you should absolutely do if you have the opportunity. So I would just say, know your chapter and take baby steps, understand them, see where people are coming from, who really wants to go along for the ride, set the vision, and trust in yourself that you have everything you need to get them where they're going. That's what I would say.
Love
You're
it.
the team leader.
Thank you so very much, Judy. Y'all, if you know one of those tutors, if you know someone that's headed off to school soon and wants to make sure they get in, maybe even get the scholarship, check out collegeexcellence.com. Judy, thank you so very much for being here with us today. Anne-Marie, thanks for your great question, which we'll answer. I don't know if it'll be October or November, but we're going to get to it for you. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and see you soon. Happy networking, y'all.
Take care.